It's time for the gold conversation. Welcome back, and we are now ready for the gold conversation. We are joined by Mr. Solomon Maina, KTDA Management Services Board Chairman. Thank you so very much for making time. But before we start with the conversation, wacha tukweke chai, si ndio?
Asante.
Na skari ama bila skari?
Bila skari.
Ndufia? Oh, okay, so let me put for you some tea. Karibu chai, because today we are talking about tea and we're really looking forward to hear your insights on the tea sector. Karibu chai.
Asante sana.
All right, so there we go. I think now we can get into the conversation.
Yes, yes.
Now, tea is a leading foreign exchange earner.
Sure.
All right?
Sure.
And the prevailing global prices, for some reason, they're not reflecting in the pocket of the farmer.
Yes.
And it's a big discouragement, even if you're trying to ask the young people to join agriculture. Like in kama mambo ni hii, watajoin kweli. What is the problem and what are we doing to streamline?
Thank you, Telel and Gena, for having me so that we can enlighten Kenyans on this important sector about tea farming. It is true for a very long time that our farmers have not been getting the rightful share of their labor. But thanks to the reforms that are currently underway, I would say the farmer is now much happier than before. As a matter of fact, this year we paid the best, or rather the highest, bonus ever paid for a tea farmer. So I would say the reforms are now paying off, and there are other challenges still, but with the goodwill we are having with government right now, I am optimistic our farmer will be very happy going forward. Yes.
Hapo wakati unazungumza kuhusiana na masuala ya bonus, bado kuna wakulima ambao wanachukua muda wao kuuza majani chai yao kwa mtu ambaye ni middleman. Tufanyeje ndio huyu mtu ambaye anauza asikwepe kupata nafasi ya kuingia kwenye KTDA?
I think the first and the important thing to do is that now we are having a tea board family in control of making sure that they control the brokers. I am aware that tea board has already taken action in writing to various factories and various factories to register all their registered farmers, so that wakulima wetu, kila mkulima akuwe registered, anajulikana, anachuna majani yake hapa, anaipeleka kwa factory gani. Because the brokers are a big problem, especially now, because to a big extent they are reducing the quality of the Kenyan tea. So we think and we believe that if tea board can be supported by government, na iweze kukalia hawa watu waache kuuzia brokers, so that the tea is then marketed, sold and marketed by KTDA. That way the farmer will get the full leap of their labor, badala ya kukua exploited by brokers. Yes.
Na kuna mageuzi ambayo yamefanywa na serikali katika kuhakikisha kwamba majani chai, unaweza tupatia yale mageuzi ambayo yamefanywa na serikali?
If you may recall, 2 years ago, in around 2020, there was a lot of agitation, both from the farmers and the government side. And you remember we had the Munya reforms. Na Munya alilete hizo reforms akaenda around the country, and the farmer, there was proper public participation. The end result was the Tea Act of 2020. And that Tea Act of 2020 is the one now in place, na inatusaidia sana kulete yale mageuzi ambayo mkulima alikuwa anataka. I'll give you an example. My board level, for the last 6 months, we've been engaging with various factories to sign in new management agreements. And luckily, 90% have already signed, and we are about to complete with the others. These management agreements are very different, because the previous agreements, while the management fee was at 2.5%, but now is at 1.5%. Meaning, mkulima kumanejiwa hiyo kutoka kuchuna, all the logistics mpaka kuyuza nje, alikuwa anachajua 2.5% of the whole revenue. But saa hizi management fee imeenda chini. Meaning, mkulima, hiyo ni benefit kwa mkulima. So the reforms are paying attention. If you look at now, we have new board members at the holding and at the MS. Hii ni jambo ambayo haikuwa before. So we have now the right leadership, and we have goodwill from government. We still have another Tea Act which is in place, which is being formulated by Senator Sigei at the Senate, which will still bring more reforms. Ama hiyo mageuzi.
All right.
Yes.
Speaking on reforms, I mean, part of the major plans was implementing the Tea Act 2020 and also making sure there's financing of the Tea Research Institute, which for years now has not been financed, yet they play a very integral role. Yes. What are you doing at this point to make sure you're working closely with them and also making sure that, yes, they're financed so that they can do what they need to do to help the sector?
Thank you, Ngena. I think it is important we recognize that the work that Kenya Research Institute of Kenya does, because they help us to develop new clones. And you know, to develop new clones or a new variety of tea takes about 20 to 23 years. So that now they are able to do more research, give us new varieties that are disease resistant. And you know, now with the weather change, we need clones that are able to resist even the weather, whether it is drought and so on. So if you look at the Tea Act of 2020, actually provides for 1% to go to research through Tea Board, and of course it will go to the Kenya Institute of. So I think already the law has taken care of that. Ours mainly is to support them so that if our farmers are able to get the right seedlings and the right crop to do, then we will be good in the long run.
All right.
Yes.
We spoke to a tea farmer,
yes,
and that was the feature that was running just as he was walking in. And one of the major concerns he addressed was the low uptake of technology and mechanization in the space of the tea sector.
Yes.
What are the plans as we speak?
I would say, and in this case I would be talking for KTDA, I think in terms of technology we have really advanced. If you look at the mechanization in all our factories, right now it is at a very high level. We are just about to roll out orthodox tea, and we are now currently sourcing and installing some of these orthodox machines so that they are able to give us the specialty teas that are being demanded outside there in the market. But I would say mechanization can also be looked at two things. It has its advantages and disadvantages. Ya kwanza, you will find that mechanization, and I'm sure you have seen in the West, farmers or pluckers, most of the time wakienda ku demonstrate. It's because mechanization is good. However, it also takes away their jobs. But also mechanization has its advantages and disadvantages. The main disadvantage is that you are not very, very sure on the quality of the tea leaf you're plucking. Because you look at the best practice is when we pluck 2 leaves and a bud to get the best quality of that tea. However, with mechanization, you're not really able, you know, to sustain that 2 leaves. You can get 3 leaves and therefore jeopardize on the quality. But however, we are doing everything we can so that we are able to balance across. There are recommendations currently on testing as well to determine the quality of the tea. You know, for a long time it's been manual. Now there are proposals which are of technology, the current technology, where you can test different teas, you know, using just the current technology without necessarily testing. So I would say mechanization is helping, but it has to be balanced so that we don't jeopardize on the good quality of Kenyan tea that is known outside.
Minimum guarantee return tunaona sana katika sekta ya kahawa.
Yes.
Je, tutahamisha hii tena kuja katika sekta ya chai?
Actually, it is the other way around.
Okay.
The minimum guaranteed return at KTDA, ilianzia na KTDA.
Okay.
Majani yetu ya KTDA huko auction ya Mombasa, huwezi nunua. We have a reserve price, which is standing currently at $2.43. Huwezi enda below that. So we give that so that we can be able to mitigate on the price and control, so that buyers don't devalue our tea that much. Because also we compare the cost of production for the farmer and also put a margin to make sure that the farmer at least get value for their tea. Otherwise, if it is left directly to the market, some buyers will want to devalue it. So that return is very good, and I would say that if replicated across other sectors, then we will protect our farmers. Yes.
Lakini bado kuna wengi ambao wanazungumzia kwamba ijapokuwa umesema kwamba bonus ilitoka, bado kuna tetesi kwamba wengine hawajafanikiwa.
Bonus wataipata huu mwezi. Kwa sababu ilideclareiwa it was announced last week by the Deputy President. And it is good I explained a bit that our farmers are paid every month for every pluck they do, or for their crop. By every 5th, they are paid at least 21 shillings. But last year, it was, and we have achieved an average of 23 shillings across. So, hiyo ingine ndio wanalipwa mwisho wa mwaka.
Okay.
This year, we paid, on average, all farmers got an average of 44, whether you are in the west or in the east. Of course, there are factories that got the best. Yes. Like Gitugi was the best, it paid a bonus of 57 shillings. Watapata hii mwezi. Okay. So mimi ningewaambia tu watulie, ndio karani wetu wanafanya mambo, they'll get their bonus within the month.
All right, it's very comforting to know that our farmers will be getting their bonus. Umesema watulie tu kidogo.
Watulie tu kidogo.
All right, we continue with this conversation. Now we will be taking a short commercial break, but the conversation still goes on. And when we come back with the highlights. What is happening in the agricultural sector? Who is doing what? You'll find out after the break.